Hi everyone and welcome back. I thought today would be a good idea to discuss Dante himself and some of the moves that he has in Devil May Cry 4 which should be carried over to Devil May Cry 5 and some of the things which should actually be left behind and that weren't really exciting to use in Devil May Cry 4 and which I believe diminish the quality of the overall, how do I say, hack and slash vibe which the game had going on for it. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin this video. It's already begun actually, but yeah, let's go for it. So Dante's got 3 weapons equipped on either side, being, well, 3 close range items and 3 long range items. That needs to change back to 2 from Devil May Cry 3. The reason for that being is sometimes you'll find yourself doing a combo and you'll forget that there's actually, well, you gotta hit the double click to get to your next weapon. For example, if I have access to Gilgamesh and I want Rebellion back, you've got to double click that to switch to it, which can be really annoying at times. I know I have lost a lot of, or I've broken a lot of combo strings by switching to Lucifer by accident because I wanted to perform a Helm Breaker, and instead, well, I got this, which is very frustrating, really frustrating and annoying. So that needs to change. We can't have 3 equipped, it's just too much. Okay, go back to 2, it's simpler, it's more efficient, and if we want to change things up, allow us to pause the game and change it the way we do in Devil May Cry 1. Okay, instead of having to visit a Divinity statue. Next thing is 3 long-range weapons as well, 2 of which are actually pretty good, and a third one which is essentially useless unless you want to take damage or don't do much damage at all. Okay, so let's focus on these close-range weapons. 3 hit combos, these are staple, they need to stay. Okay, maybe you can change the animation or the direction, allow him to get a bit of a wider angle, or an attack that allows him to at least make up for his blind spots. Something to that one there, but at the same time allow us more freedom. Let us upgrade attacks. It'd be actually kind of awesome if you could mix and match your own combos, make them yourself. I know that's asking a bit too much, but still, that's awesome. The other thing you gotta keep in mind, everybody, when watching this video, this looks very anime-like kind of animations. In the real game, you're gonna have, when Devil May Cry 5, it's all gonna be photorealistic, so, and the animations are gonna be more realistic, so you can't really cancel into one another, and you can't expect something to move as quickly as this. It's gonna move as real and as fluid and as quick as it possibly can in a, well, more photorealistic and believable setting. They want to come in closer and closer to realism rather than being, well, an action anime kind of style fighting game or hack and slash title. So an attack that's got to stay is Stinger. This is a staple. If we don't have this in the game, it's, well, it won't be Rebellion without Stinger. Okay, same with Helm Breaker and the launching enemy. I cannot remember what that's called. So anyway, those are the staple combos which need to remain. In Swordmaster, on the other hand, some things need to change. For example, Prop and Shredder, this needs to either get a wider hitbox, or the reason why I'm saying that is because you can only attack enemies that are either in front or behind you. Enemies on the side of you, unless they walk into the blade, you're dead. And also you have a blind spot right over here. Someone can attack from behind while doing it. I've been hit there several times, I know that. So yeah, that kind of sucks. Throwing your weapon, oh yes, launching, here we go, Overdrive. They need to reduce the cooldown for this. I wouldn't mind if they reduce the amount of damage it does, that's fine. Reduce the damage or even reduce the hitbox or range of it by a little, not too much, but at the same time reduce its cooldown. That'll actually help out a lot. Sometimes I find myself wanting to do a fully charged one and I end up getting hit, especially when you're in a crowd, because it's actually very handy and it's really awesome to, well, have it run through a crowd of enemies. It's a ton of fun to have it. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is, oh yes, let's throw our sword at an enemy. This is actually pretty awesome for crowd control because you get to switch to a different weapon and perform another attack while your sword is around spinning around and, well, slicing and dicing as many enemies as it can within its range. Get this, it also, well, first of all, it works by launching into this little spiral animation that slices everything in its path till it reaches its maximum edge, and then it comes all the way back, slicing everything once again. Very handy weapon, or very handy move rather. Okay, so aerial rave as well, that's got to stay. Maybe you can change up the animation. Repeating it from Devil May Cry 3 to 4 and then 5 is kind of lame. Change the animation a bit. Maybe even change the hitbox, the areas affected. Maybe you can actually change it to a 5-hit combo. Being Dante, we all know how good he is with his swords and guns. That's the only reason why it cannot be a 5-hit combo. It'll actually be pretty good as well for keeping yourself in air, trying to avoid getting to the ground too quickly. If there's anything down there, it's going to, well, bite your legs off. Please don't put any swimming as well in Devil May Cry 5. I hate swimming. Devil May Cry 1, that sucked. I'm glad I never saw it again. I'm just saying, don't do it again. Bad idea. Alright, and the final move in the Swordmaster variation is, I think, Dantes Macabre. I don't know how Macabre. I think that's how you pronounce it. Dantes Macabre. Forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. Sorry, everybody. You can always correct me later on. But yes, this can actually change the animations. But obviously, need to change the hitbox. The number of hits maybe as well. But still, it's a handy and awesome combo to have against enemies. Well, not boss characters. Remember, some characters don't flinch when you hit them. They just keep walking towards you, so it's a bad idea to use this recklessly. It does have its downsides as much as it does a ton of damage in a short amount of time. It's a little kind of fun to use, though, I'll admit that. Okay, so those are the kind of things that need to stay. You can enhance the moves, obviously. There are some blind spots which need to be covered, and I get it, yes, not all moves can cover every single blind spot. For example, when using a Houndbreaker, your blind spot is usually behind you, it's your back, isn't it? You can obviously, well, compensate for that by rolling out of the way, or doing a backflip, jumping out of the way, things like that. Okay, enemy steps and double jumps, all of those things are staple. It should not be removed, they should remain behind. Obviously, what I would like to do, though, is, for example, going to Gilgamesh, let's focus on this a bit. If you're going to have a weapon of this nature, which has actually been there since Devil May Cry 1, I think 3, 4 also had it. I can't remember having anything of this nature in Devil May Cry 2, I could be wrong. I've only played the game once and a long time ago. Wasn't such a good game, but still Devil May Cry, so for the sake of being Devil May Cry, I played it. Anyway, really handy move to have. Here we go, check it out. This needs to remain behind. The ability to dodge your enemy and then counter it, it's really handy because you can power up the move as well after you create a bit of distance from you. Also, if you're about to get hit at the last second, you get to move out the way and prepare yourself for, well, you have options. You can obviously roll out the way, do a backflip, you can do anything. In fact, you have several options at your disposal because it just creates distance. That's the best way to do it. It creates distance provided you don't hold the attack button down. I would actually like it if we could, for example, if I wanted to change the animation or change the move itself, because it normally goes into this little forward launcher or stinger with your fist. Very handy when powered up and does quite a bit of damage in a narrow hitbox. Very, very narrow hitbox. Literally directly in front of you. Nothing towards the sides. The sides will get stuck, and same with the back. But anyway, kick 3-9, that needs to stay. That needs to stay. This is very important. I don't know if some of you have noticed this. I'm sure you would have noticed this. Some people forget it. When you jump, you actually get to do damage to your opponent, provided you have Gilgamesh equipped. This is actually very handy. For one, it keeps the combo going. It increases the damage, increases your style points, and in facing with larger enemies or boss characters, you get to do damage while dodging or jumping out of the way and, well, busting the crap out of them. It's really handy to have that. Okay, in the Swordmaster variation, this needs to remain behind. You'll notice the animation on the floor, or the little crack on the floor that appears. That needs to find its way in the game, in the sense that the environment needs to get destroyed. I would really appreciate that. If it delays production by a day or so, it's fine. If it delays production by a week, on the other hand, you guys can leave it out. Okay, it's not essential, but it would be nice to have it. It really would be nice to have the crack in the floor remain behind. Okay, it looks more realistic, since folks, realism is what you're into now. Anyway, Beast Uppercut. This is actually very important to have. This is one of the favorite things about this is, or my favorite things about this is, you have 3 different options with it. You can pull out a really quick attack that launches your enemy, does a significant amount of damage, not too much on the other hand, as opposed to having it powered up, but everything changes with it. See, for example, you don't get to go in air, so you can obviously remain on the ground and do what you want while on the ground. The other option you have is, if you've got a bit of time, you can then power it up, obviously depending on the enemy, how far they're away from you. And if you really want to get risky and go for the higher reward and higher risk, or balance it with the higher risk factor. And wait a minute, look at Dante's cape. That looks pretty static. Fix that. Please fix that in Devil May Cry 5. It looks like he's, well, flying. It actually looks like he is flying in a very awkward and painful position. Check it out. I think if Superman were to sneeze while flying, this is probably what he'd look like. We'll try to block his face, but anyway, it actually looks pretty cool and awkward and painful at the same time. But anyway, be that as may, you then get to do a significant amount of damage. It's more of a higher risk and high reward factor. This is obviously an uppercut which can't be completed now because this actually needs to be removed. It slows down way too much before it lands the first hit. You cannot power it up. It does a ton of damage, I'll admit that, but at the same time, it needs to go. Anything that stops Dante from moving freely needs to go, because you see the essence of Devil May Cry is, as much as it's being a hack and slash game, one of my favorite things about it is being this fast-paced action game whereby you get to really have fun with the opponents and toy with them and move around, pull off all these stylish and flashy combos. When somebody looks at the screen, they don't know what's going on, or if they do know what's going on, it's just really hard to follow or just simply beautiful. It's a true work of art. I really hope that they do things that really focus on Dante's skills rather than just plant him in one place. And well, speaking of planting him in one place, let's go to Lucifer. This weapon, everything about it needs to go. It needs to be deleted. As a matter of fact, if Devil May Cry 4 could actually function without this weapon, I would like to remove it. I wish there was an option to remove it or permanently delete it from the game. It's useless and I hate it. That's just my personal opinion of it, and it annoyed the crap out of me. Without being able to unequip this thing, I was really frustrated and did not enjoy Devil May Cry 4, and I had to constantly keep double tapping to get rid of it. So yeah, that was frustrating and annoying. That needs to go. On the other hand, for the sake of V, or Vitail as some people are calling him, I don't know if it's his real name or not, this weapon would actually make sense since he's going to be a long range fighter using magic and I don't know what other weapons at his disposal. But yeah, it'd actually be pretty handy for him, being able to control these, whatever these things are. So yeah, for Vitail, I'd say as a long range weapon, I can understand it fine. For Dante or Nero, no, do not put anything of this nature. It does not suit them. It's really terrible in my opinion. I hate it. I cannot stand it. Yeah, it looks flashy. It has this little awesome way of doing things and that as well, but still I hate it. And the fact that he's got a rose in his mouth, this is not Valentine's Day. Seriously, this is not Valentine's Day. Who knows, maybe Vitail is Dante's son. After getting Lucifer and having a rose in his mouth, maybe a lady or Trish finally went for him and, okay, let's get married and have kids and babies and shit. But anyway, I don't know. Right, so be that as it may, hey, check it out, cool dance. Yeah. Anyway, into the dab. So, moving on. Lucifer, we want that completely removed, deleted, everything related to it. Do not name a weapon of that nature or like that again, please. Just get rid of it. Don't want it. Needs to go. Going to his long range weapons, Ebony and Ivory is a staple weapon, so this needs to remain behind. These are Dante's signature trademark weapons, which he himself has actually customized. So it's actually pretty awesome to have them. I love the fact that we have these weapons. They look cooler, they look more well designed. The one thing that I don't like though is, well, you can actually, the rate of fire increases depending on how fast you actually tap the fire button, which is actually really handy. It's actually pretty cool. You get to control the amount of damage you're going to do to your opponent via handgun. So that needs to change. Obviously the animation, what I don't like though is the fact that the bullet shells aren't all that noticeable. I'd like to have more noticeable bullet shells falling out. You can see it falling. It actually looks pretty bad though if you look closely. I'd like to see the bullet shells fall a little better than that. In Devil May Cry 3 they were beautiful, and the animation that, or the sound that they made after the bullet shells fell on the floor, that was just beautiful. Focus more on that, alright? Okay, going to the Coyote A. Actually, sorry, let's go back to Ebony and Ivory and focus on Gunslinger, sorry. Rainstorm, very handy style. You can actually keep yourself in the air. I use this to keep myself in the air all the time. If you want to avoid getting on the floor, don't want any enemies to attack you. It's really good. As a dodge mechanic, it's really good, and well, it obviously attacks simultaneously. Alternatively, you could just do a ton of damage and rain down bullets on your enemies that are directly below you. Very handy to have that. Rainstorm, my favorite. This needs to go. I think it's called the Honeycomb Shooter or something like that. I can't remember the names of the attacks, forgive me everybody, but what I don't like about this attack is that it plants Dante into a specific spot. It anchors him from where he starts firing these or raining down these bullets on his enemy, and the problem with that is you can't move left or right. You cannot aim this attack. If you're going to put it in, I'd appreciate it if you could aim it and switch it between targets, maybe even give it a bit of a cooldown. I'll understand that. But at the same time, look, when Dante is stationary, it's very difficult obviously to dodge any attacks and all that unless you obviously stop this attack and cancel her out. I don't know how that will work, but this attack needs to go, or at least allow us to aim it. Okay, anything that stops Dante and puts him in a specific situation where you have to choose between taking damage or landing a hit, remove those attacks, because Dante is basically, the best way to put it, he is a damage champion. He's all about hurting his enemies and yeah, or slaying demons. I mean, that's the best way to put it. To just anchor a demon hunter, that's really putting their life at risk. Okay, even if you're facing one enemy, it's still lame to spray them with so many bullets. It's kind of cowardly if you if I think about it. Anyway, that's just me. This is actually pretty awesome. The ability to fire on multiple enemies at the same time is very handy. The sad thing is it doesn't do much damage. It would be pretty cool if you could increase the stopping power of the handguns to compensate for that. That would be actually pretty awesome. Okay, so that can actually stay. Okay, so this... Okay, whoa. No, sorry. This needs to go. Okay. Coyote A. Swinging you around like nunchucks is actually pretty good. That needs to go. I would prefer if you could upgrade this though in terms of the animations, whereby he doesn't have to reload it after 2 shots. For example, as you go along the levels, maybe you can reload it, well, for the first time after 2 shots, then the second level after 4, and the final level after 6 shots. I know that's asking for a bit much, but that actually would be quite a bit of fun if you could do that. Okay. The ability to attack directly behind you while focusing forward is very handy. It covers your blind spot on your back when you're doing any attacks forward, because sometimes an enemy just sneaks up on you and you just want to just like, surprise, I know you were there. So that's really handy to have. Okay. I would really appreciate it as well if you could actually customize these weapons to the point where you can, for example, on the shotgun, determine how far the spray of the bullets will spread or the distance at which the bullets will start to spread. That would actually be pretty cool. If you could maybe equip a slightly shorter barrel that would increase the spray at a closer range. I know it doesn't do much damage, but I actually find it handy when attacking multiple enemies at a long distance to just do a bit of damage on them. It slows them down a little, not too much, but it's still handy. At close range it does a devastating amount of damage, and obviously magical bullets need to remain behind. These are very handy because, well, obviously what I like to do is, for example, charge them up and run around, keep it charged up, first enemy that comes in your face, and boom, magical shot the crap out of them. Okay, so that's important, that needs to remain. This as well, the Gunslinger has to remain. This is very important, but try to increase its range to match that of the Stinger. If you can move with the sword that way, I see no reason why you can't move the shotgun that way. So yeah, go cover the same amount of distance with the sword, cover the same amount of distance with the shotgun, so that he needs to do. Alright, so Pandora. This weapon was... The concept of Pandora is fascinating. Looking at all the things it's capable of is actually also pretty awesome, but once again, Dante is planted. You can only aim up and down, you cannot aim left or right. So there's, well, all kinds of blind spots, and these things obviously, these type of attacks or situations force you to decide whether you want to freestyle it and just go crazy on your enemy, or you want to slow things down, plant yourself in a spot and run that risk of taking a hit. Now I get it, if you're facing one character it's okay, but a lot of the time the fun with Devil May Cry is not fighting one boss character or just one character on screen and doing as many combos, but how do I say, dodging, rolling, ducking, diving out of a horde of enemies or horde of demons and slicing your way through them. That is the fun of Devil May Cry, pulling off as many combos as you can, keeping its style meter up without getting hit or dying. That's the fun or the essence of it, with the combat system, that is. Alright, so in the Gunslinger variation, this is a useless attack. Okay, it does quite a bit of damage depending on the Pandora meter, but it is a useless attack in the sense that you might as well give Dante a bloody grenade. Seriously? What is with planting Dante in spots as well? The other attack that needs to go is this. It heavily diminishes the quality of the hack and slash genre, because literally you can fire so many rockets and destroy so many enemies, and not just that, using it on boss characters as well. I remember using this thing constantly to get to Bloody Palace without any, well, real challenge. It really took the fun out of the game, and I'll be honest with you, I will admit, when I was desperate, instead of trying to focus on a way to dodge, roll, duck, dive, and pull off an awesome combo and have this awesome comeback, I knew this weapon was in my arsenal, and I used it. It's cheap, it's cowardly, it needs to go, and yes, I admit that I was a coward when I used it, and not that I use it much anymore. So yeah, that needs to go. Okay, Royal Guard, first of all, the animation, that should actually go, because we all know that actually Dante invented the dab. I mean, people can say whatever the hell they want, but the fact of the matter is, someone probably saw Dante do it, they took it from him, and then this is it, the dab. Yeah, okay, so we'll take it from there. Royal Guard, this allows you to block your enemy's incoming attacks, however not at a price. It still does damage to you, not as much as it would do if you weren't blocking, but it builds up your royal meter. You notice a little yellow bar below the R? Yeah. So when the meter is full or has a set amount of energy in it, you can then release that energy onto your opponent, doing a devastating amount of damage. So it's kind of a risk and reward system in that you've got to make sure you block at the right time to take the real amount of damage. When that gauge is full, you release the attack onto your opponent, because you don't want to keep taking damage and not, well, dishing out any damage. The idea is to fill that gauge up without dying and then releasing on your enemy. The other useless move in this, though, that I want to go, cannot stay, is Dreadnought. This is actually pretty useless to me. I don't know if anybody else has found it handy, but I honestly feel it needs to go because it slows Dante down way too much. Yeah, you can take more hits with less damage, but still, I don't like the way it looks, I don't like the way it feels, or the way it plays. Okay? So yeah, remember when going into Double Trigger, all of these moves get enhanced as well. So let's, from here on out, let's talk about that as well. Alright. So Trickster, this is a very handy style for those of you who like to play around and close in the gaps on your opponent or dodge out of the way at the last second. I actually have a lot of fun doing this and I love it. Obviously the ability to teleport to your enemy is very handy because you can close the gaps on them. Dodging out of the way is essential, but this needs to change. It has a certain cooldown after a single dash, which is pretty useless. Or pretty annoying actually. I would prefer it if you like Devil May Cry 3, after 3 dashes it would then cool down. And while in Double Trigger, this is actually infinite provided you remain in Double Trigger, so it actually can really dampen your enemies' moods or spirits, really piss them off, or well, save you at the last instant. I mean, there have been some boss fights on the higher difficulties whereby I just literally transform into the Double Trigger state and just dash endlessly to create a gap on them, create a gap between us, and heal myself at the same time until the Double Trigger runs out, obviously. So while healed up, you go back to human and carry on the fight. So yeah, Trickster is a pretty awesome style to have. It also gives you access to the air dash, which is very important because when in air you can jump, but unfortunately you can't maneuver anything, or you cannot maneuver Dante anywhere beyond the second jump. Dash compensates for that, or air dash compensates for that limitation. So yeah, that needs to be brought back. Maybe, I don't know, increase the distance of it, or at least allow us to dash upwards. I mean, yeah, I know that'll be technically a jump, but like diagonally, dash diagonally. For example, if you were to hit the air dash button while in air, depending on the analog stick direction, maybe if you're holding it up, you could actually dash diagonally up and forward, I don't know. So yes, that would actually be pretty awesome. Remember, in Double Trigger, a lot of things change. Stinger, for example, gets more enhanced. Your Kick 369 gets significantly enhanced. All of those things need to stay. Let the Double Trigger do its job by enhancing Dante's attacks more, making him stronger, faster, and dealing a ton more damage. Those things are very handy. Going back to Gilgamesh, sorry, I wasn't focusing on this so much. Certain moves that need to stay from this is the ability to jump up. I don't want to have an identical weapon to Gilgamesh, but it would be pretty handy if you could actually purchase this as a skill for maybe Vitail. It would be handy for him to actually have an ability whereby he could damage enemies by simply jumping the way Dante does when equipped with Gilgamesh. So yes, there are some things which doesn't have to be for Dante only. They can follow their way into the new character. See no reason why they can't. Alright, so let me know if I let anything out, left anything out thus far. Well, actually no, I did, sorry. I'm Dark Slayer. This we're not going to see. I can already tell you guys this now. We are not going to see any of this based on the fact that, well, Virgil took back Yamato, and from everything we've heard thus far, Virgil is not playable. There are chances are this is going to be a Devil May Cry Special Edition, or Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, where they'll make him playable as always. 3, 4, 5, they'll follow the trend, I don't know. Or they will just sell it to us as DLC for half the price of the full game. And to tell you the truth, I would pay that half price based on the fact that I am a Virgil fan, and I'll rant, I'll rave about being ripped off, but at the end of the day there's no other way to get it. So yes, sadly we're not going to see anything like this. However, one thing to point out, very important for the sake of Vitail or V, he should actually have access to an attack similar to this of Judgment Cut. Since he's a long range fighter with magic, I see no reason why he can't summon like a spiral of blades that's going to just tear and rip enemies apart. Moving back to V as well, the other thing that can find its way into Devil May Cry 5 is this attack. Whoops, sorry, not that, okay, that attack, but also this. Launching something, some sort of projectile that does damage, obviously not planting him in one position as Dante. As you can see, we cannot move Dante. That needs to be taken out. With Vitail, maybe something of a similar nature that can find its way out, glide its way through enemies while allowing him to move at the same time. Very, very handy. Well, that being said and done, guys, thank you for watching this video. I really did enjoy making it, and I hope I didn't talk too much nonsense while doing so. If you guys, by all means, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and share as always. And yeah, thanks for watching. I really hope to make more videos in the future and have more fun doing it. Before we go, being Dante as our special guest, thank you for providing us with all of your moves. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, that was really awesome having you as well, Dante. Thank you once again. Before we go, I think Dante's got a few things to explain to you guys or show you guys, which I actually only noticed now. I think it'll actually make a pretty funny meme. So yeah, here we go. Without further ado, Dante, let's do this.